here today with Tony Gomez from Global Truss. And we're going to talk about some new things from Global Truss. And then more importantly, we're going to talk about what Global Truss is doing during these times to help the community and also help the people we serve, the production companies and all that. So without further ado, Tony, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been with Global Truss, and what your position is?
Sure. Hey, well, first of all, thank you, Tom, for setting this up. So, as most of you already heard, my name is Tony Gomez. I've been with Global Trust approximately 15 years. I have a background in production. Originally, I was going to school to be a music major, and I find myself many, many years later selling aluminum trusses and talking to Tom about, welded metal and stuff. But Global Trust has been around for 15 years. I've had the pleasure to be with the company from its infant stages, and now we've seen it grow up to be, one of the name brands in the trussing industry. So, so thank you, Tom, for setting this up, and let's start talking about some products.
Sure. And what's the difference? And I'm the ADJ Regional Sales Manager. I handle a few states, and then I also handle Global Trust in some of those states as well. I get asked all the time, and we just see it on the screen, what's the difference between DuraTruss and Global Truss?
Sure. So a few years back, we made the decision to separate some of our products. A lot of our legacy products that have been around for, again, 15 plus years, such as the F-34, such as some of the F-33, 32, 31, we decided that it was probably best to keep those under the Global Trust name. And as we started to introduce new products, especially products that appealed to the medium and pro level production industry, we decided that we wanted to brand those under the DuraTrust name. Also, the DuraTrust name is a name that our sister company in Europe uses to sell their trussing products. So it just kind of helps bind the two companies together and helps strengthen the brand.
Right. And this is kind of a serious question. I don't know if you know the answer, but how many times do you think our computers will do a reminder noise or our phone will beep or something like that will happen during this?
This one was my fault. I muted everything except my cell phone. So
yeah, I think something will happen. I think I've done everything I can do. Now, since we're talking about truss and bent metal and welding and all that, I purposely kind of grew the beard for this because this is rugged stuff. This is stuff that people use to build stuff, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But before we get into what Global's doing to try to help communities and help the people we serve, the event production companies, do you mind if we talk about a couple new products?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about them.
Yeah, this is something that on the ADJ side, we have a lot of video walls, and we do real well with them. And during these times, you hear a lot about drive-in movies. You hear a lot about the outdoor church services, a lot of things like that. And this is a brand new product, Tony. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the DT36 came into existence about I think 6 months ago. And so as of late, most of you already know video walls have become a lot more cost efficient. They're a lot more accessible. They're being used in all sorts of different applications, not only entertainment, but you also see them in retail environments. You see on billboards now, I see billboards, the old school billboards coming down, being replaced by video wall displays. But to kind of go back into the entertainment side of the business, one of the challenges with hanging a video wall is centering the wall on a truss system. And typically what happens is your options are to hang it from the front cord, the rear cord, or you try to center it using span set or some sort of a sling, which kind of takes away a little bit of the aesthetics. The cool thing about this type of trussing is that we added a center cord or a center tube right in the middle between the two bottom tubes as well as the top tubes that will allow you to center a video wall as well as any other lighting equipment or even audio equipment that requires to be centered in order to evenly distribute the load on a truss system.
That's awesome. Yeah, so people using crank up stands or just about any application, centering the weight's really important. I know with moving heads, if you have heavy moving heads like our ADJ CMY 300s, you can put some on the front, some on the back, and even the weight out that way. But with the video wall, it's one continuous stress on the truss. Now, I noticed something too. What's the what's the TUV stand for?
TUV is a certification. It's a mark that certifies the load capacity of the trussing, as well as they also provide welder certification services. So it serves two purposes. It confirms quality, and it also confirms the load capacity. So when you're buying trussing, while it all may look the same, but if it doesn't bear the TUV mark, then you might want to maybe ask a few more questions. Who's building the trussing? Are the welders certified? Who's doing quality control on the product? And if the company that is selling the trussing has published load charts, you want to make sure that those numbers have been confirmed by an outside certification body.
Right. This is pretty cool, and a lot of companies don't offer this. We have load and deflection charts. We get calls all the time where someone says, "Hey, I want to do 40 feet. What's the deflection going to be? Is it safe?" Here they can look right on here as far as the bow and any deflection or load issues, and actually make sure they're doing it safe. From time to time, people hang truss over other people's heads, so it's probably not an area people want to cut corners or mess around with. One thing too, that I was thinking about as you were talking is when you're looking at truss, and there's a lot of different truss out there. There's a lot of copycat truss. There's no name truss. There's truss that's not certified. And when I'm out on the road, one thing I'll notice is if I see other people's truss, I'll point out after a year or two, it's a really dark gray and has that greasiness to it. Whereas our truss is still bright and shiny and has the same color as when you bought it, the same silver brightness that it had when you bought it. And what I point out on that is that even though they both might be aluminum, the grade of aluminum that the competitor or the knockoff or the direct import truss or whatever might be a really low grade, and you can tell over time as it's getting darker and darker, whereas ours looks the same as when you bought it, whether it's 2, 3, 4 years down the road because of the quality of the materials that we're using. Is that, do you find that as well, Tony?
Yeah, you could probably take two different pieces of trusses from two different manufacturers, different price points, right? And if you look at them, they might look the same. But you're right, Tom. If you took that piece of truss, you cut it right down the middle, and you took a caliber and you measure the thickness of the actual aluminum, you might see that there is a significant difference in the thickness of the aluminum, and there might be a significant difference in the grade of the aluminum as you degrade the grade of the aluminum, right? You use different grades or lower quality aluminum.
Yeah, you
You can
mix
lower
other
the price
stuff.
point also of the trussing. So it might look the same, but ultimately, once you put it up in the air, once you start hanging the load on it, you might see a little bit of bowing, a little bit of sagging, especially if you're underloading the truss. If you're not overloading the truss and you're well within the load capacity, and you still see bowing, that there's probably something going on with the grade of the aluminum and the thickness.
Right. Okay, here's another new product, and this is more global dirt truss stepping up into the more pro market. Can you tell us a little bit about the DTGP series?
Sure. So this one has been in the works for a few years. We released it at LDI last year. It's currently in stock. And what we started noticing was that we started working on projects that are a lot more demanding, that require higher load capacities. They also require longer spans. And not to take away from our legacy products like the F-34, but there's different types of trusses for different applications. And so we decided to release our own line of what we call American style bolt together trussing for those applications that require higher load capacities, longer spans, and more demanding use.
Oh, awesome. So kind of something for everybody. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to bring up another product, and this is kind of a more mature product, but it still does really well. And I just want to, especially with more, our theme, kind of more portable outdoor stuff going on. This is something that does really well. It's the ST180. It's been around a while, and it's still very popular. And I think that's a testament right there to it. So it is. What can you tell us about the ST180, Tony?
Sure, the ST180 is one of our legacy products. It's been in the market for a few years. At least it's been around since I've been here. One of the things that I like about it is that it's very service friendly. Challenge when you're buying big, heavy equipment is if it needs to be serviced, do you really want to send it back to the manufacturer? And one of the things that we need to be honest about is that manufacturers don't have service centers in every city, every town, and every state. It's impossible, right? We do our best to try to find partners that can service our equipment, but there's just times when we have clients that are in small towns far away from the city, and they don't have the luxury of being able to drive the equipment to a local service center. So that's one of the advantages about the ST180. Another advantage about the ST180 also is that it provides plenty of stability. If you look at the design, it's got an outrigger style base. It has a maximum height, working height of 18 feet, and it's got a load
Wow.
capacity of 440 pounds. Between two stands, you can do 880 pounds, which is perfect for a lot of small, medium sized production. If you need to hang a few lights across the front of the stage, if you need to hang some speakers off of it between two stands and a piece of truss, or if you need to hang a video wall. Pair this up with a DT36, and you have a pretty cool heavy duty system to hang a video wall off of.
Awesome. So that's a few of the product stuff that's going on with Global. I'm going to, hopefully this will work smoothly, and I'm going to slide a picture over here. There we go. So when we started this, we talked about helping the community. And so this is something that's kind of come up, and we're going to show a few of them. So one of the things, the challenges, and I recognize every city, every county, every state has different regulations, but restaurants have started to open up. Restaurants that have had their dining rooms closed down are starting to open up, and and they're doing the outdoor patios. And maybe they had a small patio. And I know in my neck of the woods there was some that didn't open the first time around, first set of regulations, because their patios weren't big enough, and it didn't make sense for them to be open. They couldn't generate enough revenue to justify being open with the staff and the cooks and everything else that goes on. And so we had some local dealers in the LA area, and I know around the country we have dealers doing this, but they're stepping up and expanding patios for the restaurants. And this one's actually kind of cool. I'm going to show a few. This one's using our I-beam truss, which is a very light duty solution, but they are taking kind of like Night at the Roxbury. They're taking the inside of their restaurant, making it the outside. And this is during the setup
Right.
stages of that, but they are allowing the restaurants to be able to open and serve the community. And then also they're allowing event and production companies probably were involved in the sale and setup of this. So this is kind of cool. I'm going to bring another one over as well. Let's see, this is kind of cool too. Here's a beer garden that was done as well, and it's using the I-beam truss as well. This was actually done before COVID, but you can get an idea of setting it up to create a designated enclosed space. And then let's see here. Here is actually a video wall done. Let's see here. There we go. Here's the inside of a space, a restaurant that was done, and this is using the F34 truss. You can see it's square, and this has the video wall at the end. This is actually a local sports bar, and I believe Alfred and Edgar at ADJ helped put this together with a local dealer. But you can see how much capacity they have for people. Tony, do you want to talk about maybe some of the projects you've been involved with helping local businesses expand?
Yeah, as of late, we've been servicing our community, some of our dealers as well, and some of the local restaurants by providing, as Tom, as you mentioned, some of these outdoor dining solutions. I think one of the things that makes trussing an attractive solution versus some of the other options that are out there, not taking away from them, but I think one of the things that people really like about it is the lifespan. If you take an easy up and you put it out in the sun, especially this nice warm California weather, the sun will eat right through that real flimsy thin tarp. So uh, canopies, easy ups are fairly inexpensive. You can get one for $100, but it might have a lifespan of maybe 3 to 4 weeks by the time that the sun gets his hands on it. So one of the nice things about the trussing is you're dealing with a material that is not going to deteriorate over time with the sun. And there's a lot of providers out there, a lot of companies that offer shade solutions that are resistant against the elements, especially the hot sun here in California and other parts of the country. One of the other things too, as you mentioned, Tom, is that it's allowing clients to provide a comfortable, I won't even say elegant dining solution. I've driven by a few restaurants that have a bunch of easy ups, it looks weird.
Right, or the rental tents. I
It
think
just
there's
doesn't look right.
yeah, there's some by us, and they
I'm
have
sorry.
the rental
Yeah,
tents, and it looks like a wedding's going to happen, like a wedding reception. Which is, and
exactly.
the thing with that is they're probably renting that, and like you said, when seasons change or just the wear factor, those are going to wear out. One of the neat things about this, and
Right.
is that there's a couple things. One is when they are able to open their dining room, there's certain people who aren't going to want to go in. There's going to be a lag once this is all over between when people are comfortable, whether it's going to the movies or whether it's going in a dining room. So it's going to allow them to expand their overall occupancy. And if they were to call a builder and add on this much square footage, I can guarantee it's going to be a lot more than purchasing a few sticks of truss and from the local production or event company and having them come set it up. The other thing too is that truss doesn't really wear out in this type of application, and global truss holds its value really well. So if they decide to modify this or at some point not use it anymore and maybe have a builder come in and do something, or for whatever reason they don't need it anymore, to put it on the secondary market, it's going to hold its value reasonably well compared to, like you said, an easy up or rental tent or whatever, where there's no value in it. So this is actually something that's going to hold its
Right.
value. And also, we've said it before, it's like Lincoln Logs, you can change the shape of it. In this particular one, and I'm going to close this picture and I can bring it back. Or actually, I'll just move it over here. At the end of there, you can see the video screen, and here is the uh, the stand for the video wall. And this was custom made. This is the coolest thing ever, I think. Has the wheels on it, has some Avante speakers. And when there's a sporting event, and it has the distance right here. So you see these guys, so you're not exchanging terms with this guy has a safe distance. But this is something they can roll all over. So in that other shot, you see it at the end where I think it is right here. But if they had a big event in the parking lot, they could roll it in the parking lot. Or say they have a live band in the parking lot. Or say when the dining room opens or the club opens, they can roll it in there and put it behind the DJ or on the side or whatever. We've done enough trade shows and seen enough structures like this without wheels, and someone goes, it needs to be 2 feet over there, and moving it is not. It's usually like 6 people trying to move things around. And so this is pretty cool. And I know Global doesn't sell these wheels, but again, we're just trying to give people ideas. And this is what somebody did, where they can roll this ADJ video wall over with the Avante speakers on it and have a awesome video setup. So,
Yeah, and along the lines of the builder, like you mentioned, Tom, about bringing in a builder, the investment that would be involved in that. Also, when you bring in a builder, there's a lot of red tape. You got to get construction permits. You got to get the okay from the city. I think a lot of restaurants and a lot of venues are taking advantage of the fact that a lot of cities and counties are being very flexible when it comes to setting up an outdoor dining area or just an outdoor patio. And so if you brought in a builder and if you want to do something out of wood and you want to put a roof on it, add or extend your building outward, aside from the cost of building it, then you're looking at a lot of red tape trying to get approval from the city. This way, you're kind of able to skip a few steps. Now, I would still recommend that if you're in an area where the structure may be exposed to high winds, unless if you didn't hire a company to set it up properly, you should definitely consult with an engineer to make sure that this structure will perform as intended and that you are weighing it down accordingly and is being guy wired down properly, so that if, again, we're dealing with some high winds, which in the LA area we really don't. If you get closer to Orange County or Santa Ana
or Albuquerque or Tucson, Arizona. And that's part of
right, exactly, right.
And that's part of why you want to get like a production company or an event company to help set it up, especially because they're going to know how to deal with things in high wind areas. And like you said, whether it's guide wires,
right,
whether it's cement blocks, whatever it's going to take, they're familiar with the changing of the weather conditions. The other thing too is, so this is restaurants, and we showed beer gardens, we showed restaurants, we have video walls, whether it's the Sunday church service, whether it's drive-in movies. We also, and I think you were involved in this, up in Washington State, we have a Indian casino that is open, and they moved all their gaming tables outdoors, and they used our I-beam truss and actually made specialty tents to now be able to offer gaming outdoors. So they moved it in the parking lot and built a big tent structure. Unfortunately, I don't have a photo of that, but they built a big tent structure using our I-beam truss. So that's just another way that you can use Global Truss. And again, Global Trust is allowing a business to open, helping a business to reopen and bring profits in and employ people and pay taxes and do all this stuff that businesses do, which is help keep the community going. So is there anything else you can think of, Tony, that you guys are doing that's awesome for the communities and for our customers?
Oh, there we go. Sorry. You mentioned the outdoor worship services. Yeah, I muted myself. You mentioned the outdoor worship services. That's become, it's becoming a lot more common now. I know I drive by, a few churches on the way home, or sometimes when I'm running errands, especially Sunday mornings, and you see a lot of them going outdoors. So again, another perfect solution for churches that are looking at going outdoors. If there's a church out there that's thought about maybe revamping their stage at some point with a more modern look, this could be a perfect time. You're knocking out two birds with one stone. You're providing a solution for the outdoor worship experience, and then once this is all said and done, it's all over with, you can take that structure, put it inside, and configure it to adapt itself to the stage. But you're right, Tom. We're trying to do what we can. As a community, I think we all have to put in our part. We talk about wearing masks, and everybody, whether you believe in it or not, we're not going to debate that here on on this video. But there's an opportunity for everybody to do their part, whether it's wearing a mask or just providing services to help others get back to trying to do business as usual, or the churches that want to get back to doing worship normally they would indoor, but now in an outdoor environment.
Right, and Global Trust is here to help, and I'm on the ADJ side as well, and we're here to help too. If you need help with design, we have basic inside design. The guys at Global, who are awesome, can knock out. Or if you need structural engineering, there's outside people that Tony can refer you to help if there's structural issues you're concerned about, that can actually certify designs and do some really cool stuff that way. Tony, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, what's the easiest way? Or if they wanted to email Global Trust and get a quote, or get directed to a local event or production company.
Yeah, give us a call. The number here is 323-415-6225. That is the office line. You can ask for me, or you can ask for anybody in our sales team. We're a small office, and I just want to let everybody know that all we do is trussing. You're not calling a case company that sells trussing, or you're not calling a lighting company that sells trussing. If you need lighting, call Tom. If you need trussing, call Tony. Right? We're dedicated, truss people, and Tom's a dedicated lighting guy. He also kind of seconds as a truss sales guy, and he's good at what he does. But if you need help, just give us a call at number 323-415-6225. And you can also email us at support@globaltrust.com. That email address comes directly to me. So if you want to get a hold of me, just send an email to support. Send it over. If you have any questions as far as the design, like Tom said, if you need help with engineering, we work with a local engineering firm that provides those type of services. If you need us to refer you to a dealer or a production company to help with a quote or with a setup, please just give us a call. We're here to help as much as we possibly can.
One thing I always like to point out, and that I'm proud of working for the ADJ group, is we're family owned. There's no board of directors. There's not a bunch of venture cap. There's not all this stuff that some of our competitors have to deal with. We're family owned. The owner of the company before all this would cruise through on a regular basis. Chuck Davies, amazing guy, and everybody's accessible. And when you're dealing with Global Truss or ADJ or Avante or Eliminator or Elation or any of the brands under the ADJ group umbrella, you're dealing with a family-owned business. You're dealing with families. A lot of people within our companies. It's cousins. It's this. It's that. Everybody knows each other. And you mentioned you've worked there 15 years. I think it's probably been close to that for me. A lot of people have worked at our companies. We don't have much turnover. You're not going to talk to someone this week and then 2 weeks from now, when you're ready to move forward, talk to somebody else and have to start over. We're a family-owned company, family-owned business based in Los Angeles, California. We're worldwide. But you're dealing with families. You're dealing with family-owned company. We don't answer to board of directors or anybody else, which has allowed us to, I think, do a great job at providing service and than a lot of other companies.
Right.
So
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up, Tom. I mean, I want, again, you already did it, but I want to give a shout out to our founder, Chuck Davies. I also want to give a shout out to Ken. Most people know him as Kenny.
Kenny,
President of our company. Yeah,
does Kenny know you're
he's a
doing
great
this?
guy. He's our fearless leader.
Does Kenny know you're doing this?
Yeah. I told him he had a. Yeah, I told my dad, "Don't bother me. I'm gonna jump on a call with Tom, right?" But no, Kenny's a great guy, and he's at the forefront of this company, and everybody here at Global, Robert, Danny, Pedro, everybody that works for Global, we're here to work for you and to service our clients. And I also want to say thank you to all of our dealers that have been supporting us through this time. We're here to support you as well, but we appreciate everything that you guys are doing. And if there's anything we can do, please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for the time. If you have any questions for Tony, you can always reach out to him. If you have any questions for me, you can email me at tom.ferret, F-R-E-R-E-T, @adj.com. And I think we'll wrap it up. Thanks so much for the time. Stay safe, everybody. We really appreciate you watching this. And I think that'll do it. Thank you very much.